I am with Jodi Black, who is the COO of Pinnacle Entertainment, and I have no idea what a COO is. So let's start with my first question. What do you do, Jodi?
Hi, Becky. Yeah, so as COO, Chief Operations Officer, and I'm also the managing editor for Pinnacle Entertainment Group. That's basically a catch-all title for make sure the trains are running on time, make sure that people get their rewards when they back us on Kickstarter. We've got a great customer service team. We've got some great products out there. I try to give the last final stamp of approval on the game, on whatever book gets released. If it's a one sheet or if it's a full-fledged book, I give it the last edit pass. Everything from setting up the Kickstarter page to figuring out the shipping. We're a small team, so we wear a lot of hats. And fortunately, I get to do these kind of projects. And that leaves Shane, who's our creator of Savage Worlds and the president of the company, that leaves him to do writing things like, let's make up some cool new setting ideas. He just announced a new setting idea that we're doing in our Kickstarter, which is running right now. And it's just going to be a little mini setting, but it's called Abyssal. And that is taking place under the sea and kind of in the vein of Johnny Quest, where you get to explore the Marianas Trench and see what's coming through this giant rift in the middle of the Marianas Trench and face it, because there's always going to be action and adventure. And it sounds like just a fantastic setting. And his head is so full of those creative ideas that he needs to have somebody else who's doing kind of the bean counting stuff. So that's what I do. But I get to flex my creative fingers when I get to work with authors on their new pitches for books and doing the editing stuff. I love that. So that's what I do.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about the Kickstarter in a minute, and I assume your Abyss setting doesn't have a Russian submarine in. But what we are going to talk about is this, because we're giving one of these away today. It'll be a new copy, unlike this one here is my own, and obviously it's been used, it's a bit tatty. We'll give you a shiny, fresh new one, folks. We're also going to give away the Savage Worlds Super Powers Companion 2nd edition. So can you tell us a little bit about the superpowers stuff? Because like comic books are kind of everywhere now, with the Marvel and the DC films and so on. So what does this companion cover?
Okay, wonderful question, because superpowers are just near and dear to the Black family's heart. So I'm Jodi Black. My husband, Clint Black, is also in our Savage Worlds community as the official rules guru. He's the one who always comes up with the answers to the official rules. And he is known specifically for his love for superpowered anything. He actually wrote one of our books called Necessary Evil. In that book, you play the super villains who have to save the day after the aliens invade and kill off all the superheroes. So it's a very cool little setting. In the Superpowers Companion, you're going to find anything that you need to play any superpowered game you can imagine. So it has rules for street level and cosmic level superpowered builds. You can have layers where you go off and you recuperate after your battles, or where you drag your superheroes back to if you're being the villain. You can have just all of that is just the crunch. It's not the setting material. So you come up with your own setting ideas, and then we just give you the rules for it in the Superpowers Companion. But you'll still need the core rules to be able to use it. And that's that book that you held up, our Savage Worlds Deluxe book. Yep, that's the current edition that is out right now. And the Kickstarter is for the next edition. But for people who are thinking edition wars, like, oh no, new edition, don't worry about it. We've got a simple conversion guide coming out so that people can keep using the old material and use that conversion guide to keep using the new material that's going to be coming out. It's very backwards compatible. If anybody has been around for any of our older edition changes, they can tell you that it's really not that big a deal. It's just something that's cool and exciting to look forward to. So, but we are super excited about superpowers at our house. Let me tell you,
It is a bit of a trend in the industry, though, isn't it? With new editions at the minute, there seems a lot of things are going through new edition. I mean, the Warhammer things happening, the Pathfinder things happening at the minute, and obviously D&D 5th was a few years ago now, but it kind of almost rebirthed role-playing in the public consciousness. So what was the thinking behind doing another edition of Savage Worlds?
Yeah, so we came out with Savage Worlds Deluxe in 2011. So we haven't had a new edition now for quite some time. And we had made some new rule announcements that were pretty significant changes, but they were pretty small. Like, we're talking affecting maybe a paragraph of the text. So when we needed to do a reprinting of the book, we didn't want to just update that one paragraph. So we started thinking about it, and we're like, okay, well, if we're going to reprint it and make it better, then let's just make it really better. Let's play test this rule. We've heard about this as a house rule. Let's try that out. We've been listening to thousands, actually hundreds of thousands, literally, of game masters and players from all around the world. We've been translated into 8 different languages. We've got all of this experience from all of these people in our community. And we've been listening all this time and trying it out in our own personal game groups and everything.
Would you describe the new edition really as an evolution of this, or a huge step?
It's definitely an evolution. It's going to take it to another level. And all of the feedback that we've had from our playtesters, from our licensees, we have more than 100 licensees, and they have the alpha, PDF, and they're starting to look through it. And the feedback we're getting back from them is, oh my gosh, that makes so much more sense. That is going to improve gameplay so much. And that's been just overwhelming feedback for us to be able to hear that it's that necessary, that this was a step in the right direction. Because I won't lie, there were some nerves. There were some nerves there.
Could you give me an example of one of the things that was driving you crazy?
Okay, so for example, we've had charisma as a derived stat ever since the beginning, since 2003 when we first published Savage Worlds. That predates Jodi becoming part of the team. That's back when I was just a playtester. And now, so that's been around forever. Charisma was something that you got from adding this thing and that thing together, and it added to these other things. Well, we got rid of charisma, because basically you were buying the edge to get the positive bonus to your skill. Why not just have the edge give the positive bonus to the skill? Get rid of that in-between step and just go straight to making the bonuses to the skills instead. So it goes a lot smoother. But when we announced it, we were like, oh, I think some people are going to be upset by this, but we just wanted to take some steps out. And it makes for a little bit smoother, well, a lot smoother gameplay. And I think it makes it more intuitive for new players to build their characters too. This is the old hardcover edition from when it was first released. And if you can notice, I've got like all these sticky notes in here. And from all of my notes over the years that I've made, it's like, oh, we need to fix that eventually, is what that is. And all of those got fixed in the new edition.
So you mentioned earlier about sort of publishing adaptions for getting your old Savage World stuff to work with the newer edition. Are you going to republish your setting books as well so that they're up to date too? Or is it just going to be, oh, look, the conversion's quite simple, it's just a small evolution?
Okay, so great question, because we do have some books we plan to republish. Deadlands is our flagship brand setting. If you're not familiar with it, it's undead cowboys in a weird west. So it's been around since the 90s, and it's just fantastic. If you haven't played it, you need to. But we are out of the Player's Guide and the Marshal's Handbook for that, and we have been out of print on that for a while because we knew these changes were coming. And instead of just doing a conversion guide, we wanted to just come out with a new book that has all of the updated rules for that. So for that one, we know that we're going to be coming out with a new book that will be updated with the new rules. Again, you can still keep playing with the old rules and the conversion guide, but if you're a big Deadlands fan, you're going to want everything nicely laid out for you in a beautiful full color book, right? So some of the other older books we're not going to be updating and reprinting. For example, Slipstream is a space fantasy pulp action setting that we put out long before we got the rights to do Flash Gordon. So we did do Flash Gordon, and so Slipstream is still out there. I'm actually glancing up and I can see it on my shelf, and I loved working on that book. And it's such a cool setting, but we're probably not going to reprint that one and update it because Flash Gordon fits that niche a lot better now. Mm-hmm. And it's really recent, so we don't need to update that one either. We actually kind of tested some of our rules changes in Flash Gordon, so it already has a lot of the new stuff in there. Well, that's great. So some things will and some things won't. That's not a great answer, is it? You'll just have to keep watching.
It's fine. Now, for me, Savage Worlds has always been a game I saw it around long before I did get to play it, and obviously I have now played it several times. It's a game that's it's always sort of there as it's that other game that sometimes gets played. So with the community where it's at now, who is this designed to appeal to? Like in terms of you've got all these different systems that people can choose from. So if you were to speak out to geeks at large now, which ones particularly are you after with this in terms of who does this game fit the most?
Oh, wonderful. Well, I can tell you that when we created this game system, when we first started playtesting it, Clint and I, and when Shane first put out the ideas for it, he said, I wanted to play a game tonight, but I didn't have time to prep, like a 20th level, whatever, and I didn't have time to prep this bad guy and that bad guy and this bad guy, and then keep track of all these hit points. And, there were just a lot of barriers for getting the game group together. So I just said, forget it. And he said, I want to change that. I want to create a game system that is really easy to pick up, that's intuitive, that lets you adjust things on the fly. And so this is what Savage Worlds is. It's meant for the people who work a real job, who maybe have kids, people who have, not a whole lot of time for game prep, but they just want to get down and play the game. And so that's what it does, is it gives you one set of rules that you can use for a variety of settings. So you can play anything from weird Western to the horrors of war to space to fantasy to, we have a modern day setting, East Texas University. There's just, all sorts of cool things out there that we've published and that our licensee companies have published. There's no shortage of adventure ideas out there. So you can just kind of grab and play, it's as plug and play as you can get for a tabletop RPG, I think. And it's so easy. It's the game system that most people I know keep coming back to. So, I mean, we play the other games too. Actually, my game group's getting ready to play a Shadowrun game, and I'm super excited about that. And there's D&D. We love D&D. We are always playing the other games too, because if you want to play a Dungeons and Dragons game, then that's what you want to play, right? So play that. We're not trying to, say don't play other games. But what we are saying is that if you've just got, some buddies in for the weekend and you want to pull together a cool game because you've got this idea, you had a dream about dinosaur riding people and you're like, no, we actually want to be the dinosaur that rides the people. It's, you can do that in Savage Worlds.
So your Kickstarter's running at the moment. Mm-hmm. So as we air right now, that's still active right now, and that's going to be active until when? Until
November 14th. And we're super thrilled with it. Yeah, we're super thrilled. It had a fantastic start. Yeah, we think we're offering some pretty cool things there. Collector's editions are not going to be available after the Kickstarter. So if you want to get a collector's edition, please check it out. Our digital reward levels are probably at this point so huge that they're easily worth 2 or 3 times the value of the $25 reward level. So it's worth checking out if you have even an interest in our setting.
That's the other thing you mentioned, and actually I'd be doing you an injustice if I didn't mention this too, is your books are a lot cheaper than most. I mean, this one here, I don't know if it's still the current price, but this, when it was published, this particular one was $10.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a packet of cigarettes, which was the done thing to talk about these days. But you know, it's really cheap. That's disposable cash, and yet this is or was for a long time your flagship. So how do you eat? How are you getting food on the table? Because you don't charge a lot for these books.
Yeah, thank you. Well, actually, we made the announcement that for our new edition, for the Adventure Edition, which is on Kickstarter right now, we can't keep offering it for $10. That we have had some people who are upset about that because they wanted to keep doing that. But by and large, they're all saying, we understand. We get it, you know, that you haven't changed your prices in more than 10 years. You know, it's about time.
I was going to say, this is $10 and we got this years ago.
Yeah, so we needed to change the price. And we also decided to go away from the soft covers. So the Adventure Edition is in hardcover only, and it's in our graphic novel format, which is basically the size of a comic book. So it's 192 pages, so it's not a super thin comic book, but it's still going to fit into most retail shelves where they display comic books already. That's where you'll find our game usually, because that's why we sized it to fit that way. Honestly, there's a lot of game stores out there that are also carrying comic books, and we wanted them to show off our cover art, not just the spine. So we said, well, we can change our book. So it's going to be graphic novel. It'll be hardcover only. And we did that because, you know, for a lot of reasons, the market is one of them. But also I like personally the fact that it'll be a very durable book. Like you're looking at this book that you've been using now for several years, and it's soft cover and it's still in really fantastic shape. And I'm glad to see that.
It survived well, but we do look after RPG books in this house.
Exactly. Whereas sometimes if it's like a book in a library at a middle school, which over here is ages 10 to like 13, those kids are probably not taking care of those books. But if it's got a hard cover on it, I know it can be fine on the shelf. It's fine for kids to pick up and play and start getting into this amazing hobby of ours.
So what's the new book going to retail out after the Kickstarter when you can buy it in a shop?
So retail, it'll be $39.99. So basically $40.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you'll be able to afford vegetables again.
Yes.
Right. Well, look, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today, Jodi. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I wish you all the best with your Kickstarter.
Oh, thank you for having me, and thank you for doing this for Con+1 and for Child's Play. I think it's a fantastic charity. We've supported it as a family and as an organization. We just think that it's an amazing way to get our hobby out there and to provide, you know, kind of a second life for these children who are maybe stuck in a situation where they don't want to be. So give them the opportunity to be in other worlds and be the heroes that they see themselves being, be the heroes we see them being every single day. So thank you for doing this, and thank you for having me. Hi, I'm Jodi Black with Pinnacle Entertainment Group. We're known for Savage Worlds, and I'm here to ask you today to please give to Child's Play. Please give through Con+1. Please give directly to Child's Play. Please give at your local hospital. Please spend time with children that really need you right now. I think it's amazing that any of these role-playing games can give you a chance to break outside of your own self and put yourself in the role of a hero. So please give these children the chance to be the heroes that we see them be every day. Thank you.